Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to an updated mod spotlight on one of the mods that's actually becoming one of my favorite mods, Tinker's Construct. Tinker's Construct has had a lot of really cool stuff added to it in the recent couple months, and I needed to get a mod spotlight out. I was kind of waiting for 1.6 to hit, but again, with 1.5 and the Direwolf20 FTB pack and the other FTB packs all kind of using Tinker's Construct here, I wanted to make sure that those of you using the mod packs for 1.5 had updated information to follow along with. So, without further ado, I'm going to get ready to show you guys all the new cool gadgets and toys that you can play with in Tinker's Construct. Now, there's a bunch of stuff. There's new blocks, there's new items, there's new tools, and there's new mechanics that if you didn't know about them, you might have a lot of trouble using the mod at all. So I need to cover those for you. Of course, the mod does come with some really good instructional material. So if you did happen to get yourself the 3 books that come along with it, Materials in You Volume 1, and Mighty Smelting, and Materials in You Volume 2, those will definitely help you get along. So a lot of good information is contained within those books, but there's even more cool stuff to check out. So here goes, Tinker's Construct, coming right at you. Alright, the first thing I need to cover with you guys is creating metal-based tools. In the past, there was a way to do this that was a little bit easier. Nowadays, you have to do a little bit of work to get the right tools. So why don't I show you exactly what's involved. First off, you're going to want to get your standard 3 blocks, optionally the 4th, to get started. We're going to want to get our tool station, we're going to want to get our part builder, and we're going to have a pattern chest next to that, and then we're also going to want a stencil table. And to go along with that, we're going to want some blank patterns. All right, in order to get yourself a blank pattern, it's really pretty easy. You know the recipe, sticks and wood, not a big deal. All right. So, you get your stencil table here and you set up your patterns that you want. Now, let's say we wanted to make a pickaxe, okay? In order to find out how to make a pickaxe, one good way to do it is check your tool station and hit the pickaxe tab. All right, not a big deal. We need the tool rod, we need a binding, and we need a pickaxe head. So let's get those items going. All right, so we're going to want the pickaxe head pattern. We're going to want a couple other things. Why don't I get them, and then we'll be good to go. So as you know, you want to use the part builder to create your different parts. So for example, if you wanted to get a stone pickaxe, it's really easy, cobblestone and a pickaxe head pattern, get you the stone pickaxe. And it'll tell you here what material cost you have on the bottom now. So you can see a material cost of 1. So you only need 1 piece of cobblestone in order to get your stone pickaxe head. Not bad. Now, what if you wanted to get a metal pickaxe head? Well, in the past, you'd be able to place metal inside the part builder. That is no longer the case. Any metallic-based item or tool is now going to need to be smelted down into liquid metal in the smeltery, and you must use the tables over here in order to create your tool components if you're making anything out of metal. So as we know, if we take a look at our Materials and You book, there's quite a few different materials available in the game, and a lot of them can be used for a lot of different things. So you've got stone, you've got iron and flint and cactus, bone and obsidian, and all kinds of different metals and other interesting things that you can do. So basically anything that's a metal or any form of ingot is going to need to be smelted down in the smeltery here, okay, and turned into a liquid. So you can no longer put metals in the part builder. Okay. In order to do this, however, you're also going to need to get some of your first items here. We're going to need, let's take a look over at the Tinker's Construct. We'll see that one of the things you're really going to need is some aluminum brass. This stuff is what you need in order to make your blank casts. So we've seen blank patterns, and in the past you saw blank casts as well. I'm going to get myself a couple blank casts. In fact, it's really not worthwhile to get yourself any blank casts because you also cannot put blank casts in a stencil table. This concept has changed as well. So no longer can you take a blank cast, throw it in a stencil table, and create yourself a pattern for something like a pickaxe or a tool binding or anything like that. Another important note for you guys. So some mechanics have changed from the previous spotlight, which is a main reason that I wanted to cover this for you. All right, so let's see how we can go ahead and get the correct casts. In order to do this, you're going to have to get some kind of material of the items you want to make casts of. So I'm going to go ahead and use cobblestone. You could also use flint if you wanted to. That's equally an option. So I went ahead and got a flint rod. You could use cobblestone. You could use anything that's not a metal. Okay. So make sure you have these items ready. Then what you're going to need to do is get yourself some aluminum brass, but you need it in liquid form. All right. So molten aluminum brass here you can see is made in a smeltery by combining aluminum and copper. And you want to get about 3 pieces of aluminum for 1 piece of copper, and that'll give you your aluminum brass. Cool? So that's what you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and just cheat myself some aluminum brass just to make things a little bit easier on myself. But in, you know, a real playthrough, this is how you would do things. All right, I'm going to throw some aluminum brass in here. And just like before, we're going to see the aluminum brass blocks inside the smeltery, and they're going to start smelting. I'll be back once this smelting process is complete. Alright, as we can see, we now have some molten aluminum brass. Another nice addition since the last mod spotlight is when you mouse over the smeltery, it'll tell you how many ingots are inside here. So you can see 4 ingots worth of molten aluminum brass. And it's a nice little puddle. In the past, you would simply right-click on this block and pour the aluminum brass into the casting table, and it would form the blank cast. That's how you would originally get these blank casts. And then you come over to the stencil table and stencil it in. No longer the case. Now, what you have to do is take one of those items. So let's say I wanted to make a cast for rods. Okay, I put the flint rod in here, and then I pour the molten metal around it. What happens is the molten metal forms into the cast around the existing item. So now I have a tool rod cast. Got it? Good. If I want to create a cast for the stone binding, so I just do that, and boom. Now I have a cast for the binding, tool binding cast. Perfect. And finally, I want that pickaxe, right? So we're going to put the pickaxe head in there, we're going to pour the cast around it, and now we've got a cast, ta-da, for the pickaxe head. So that's how you make casts now. And of course, like I said, if you want to go ahead and get you know, some items here, not too hard to do. Simply place the cast in the casting table and pour the liquid out. Now, of course, you might run into the situation where you've got a little bit more liquid than you need. So I don't need, at this exact moment, any more molten aluminum brass. That's where you would go ahead and get your ingot cast from. So, you know, not a big deal. You can go ahead and handle that. So let's get one more cast going. We'll put a iron ingot in here, and we'll see if that works. Ta-da! Now I've got a cast for ingots. Other options, of course, for liquid metals include dumping them out into any kind of tank, or you can dump it into this nifty little gadget right here. This guy is called the casting basin, and basically it holds 9 ingots worth of liquid, and once that 9th ingot hits in there, it'll form into a solid block of the pattern. So if you get, you know, 9 pieces of iron, you can pour all 9 ingots out in liquid form, and it'll form into one solid iron block. And we'll see more with that in a little bit. So now that I've got my tool binding cast, it's real easy. Not a problem at all. I'm going to go ahead and just throw you know, a couple pieces of iron in there. I happen to know that the tool binding and the tool rod each cost half of an ingot, and the pickaxe head costs 1. So all told, to get a full iron pickaxe, I'm just going to need 2 pieces of iron. Not a bad deal. And there we go. Our metal's just melted. We can see in the interface here we've got 2 molten iron ingots. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get a tool binding cast. The iron forms. Perfect. I'll get a pickaxe head while I'm at it as well. And then finally, I need the tool rod here. Perfect. Now I should be able to come over to my tool station and combine my iron binding, my iron rod, and my iron pickaxe head. Perfect. Now I've got a nice iron pickaxe. Beautiful. So that's how you deal with all the items in this mod now. Pretty much anything that's a metal must be smelted in the smeltery. Any metal patterns that you want to make, you need to make a stone or flint or any other kind of pattern that you can make. Go ahead and get one of those items and melt the liquid aluminum around that item in order to get the proper casting. Got it? Good. Now let's move on and check out some of the other nifty and neat tools. Alright guys, one of the more recent changes is the addition of bows and arrows. So I want to show you guys how to mess with those cool toys right now. So to create a bow, it's pretty easy. All you need is a couple of tool rods and a bowstring. Alright, now bowstrings are actually, believe it or not, something you're going to want to go ahead and check out. Bowstrings are made using a bowstring pattern. So there's no liquid metal here to deal with. Just find yourself the bowstring pattern in the stencil table. It should be around here somewhere. There it is. Cool. So we can go ahead and place this in the part builder. And I'm going to get some string and put it in there. Okay. And it helps if I get actual normal string, not bowstring. There we go. So you'll see quickly that it requires a material cost of 3, so 3 string yields 1 bowstring. Cool. All right, bowstring goes in with, the tool rod of choice. Now there's basically at this point a couple different types of rods to use. If you use a wooden tool rod, it's a pretty standard type of draw speed. So if we go in here and, let's get ourselves some tool rods. Just to demonstrate. I'll show you the difference between the wooden ones and all the others. So one option to go along with your bowstring is wooden rods, okay? And you'll see here that it has a draw speed of 1 second, an arrow speed of 1x, and it has 3 modifiers remaining on it, okay? So that's one option, and that's a pretty standard setup right there. Now, if you use some kind of metal, you're going to see the draw speed be a little bit slower, so it takes significantly longer. This takes 2.5 times as long to draw your bow to the maximum range, but you can see the arrow speed increases a little bit, so it's a little bit stronger overall. But here's a little tip for you guys. Slime, that's pretty good. It has almost the same draw speed as wood, so a little bit slower, but not much. But the arrow speed is, a little bit more improved. Another option is to go with a stone rod, but let me just give you guys a tip. You're probably not going to want to waste your time with stone rods because they have a slow speed and a slow arrow speed. So they're kind of just totally junk. Not worth getting at all, but it's obviously something you could get if you are like really low tech, but you're probably going to have your best bet going with wood or slime. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go with slime. Yoink. And we'll call it the Dire Bow. Awesome. Now, of course, the bow can be modified, so you can go ahead and put your modifiers in here just like you could for anything. But keep in mind, the modifiers you put on the bow affect the bow. It does not affect the arrows that are shot from the bow. The arrows are the things doing the damage, so you want to probably put your modifiers on the arrows. So what kind of modifiers might we want to put on the bow? Well, we could put like the repair one or the enhanced durability, or in particular, probably the best one to get, obviously, some redstone. So if I throw some redstone in there, we'll see that we're adding a modifier, and look at the draw speed, it's going down. Aha! So by adding redstone to our bow, we're adding haste, and it's reducing the draw speed overall. So now we've got a slightly faster draw speed on our short bow. And of course, we can keep adding the haste ability on there, and the short bow is going to draw faster and faster. Cool. All right, so that's the bow. Now let's take a look at making our own custom arrows. We're going to need an arrowhead, a tool rod, and some fletching. So again, with your arrows, different materials come with different benefits. So if I put, like, for example, there's a couple different types of fletching you can go. I'm going to go with a pretty standard looking arrow here. We're going to go with a flint arrow, okay, and you'll see the differences here. We've got a base attack of 2.5 hearts. We've got a short bow attack of 2.5 to 5 hearts. So that's what happens if this is fired by a short bow. What do you think that means? If I were a betting man, I would bet there's going to be other bows coming in the future. Oh, I could be kidding. I don't know. Weight and accuracy. So different modifiers allow different things. Now, if you want, you can also swap out the fletching. So you can see here, this one with the leaf fletching has a slightly different weight and accuracy. And the same deal here with slime. Different weight, different accuracy. And the weight basically affects how far this thing's going to fly. So the heavier the arrow, the shorter of a range it's going to have. So basically, a really light weight is going to fly farther than a heavier weight, like that one. Okay? And the same goes for the tool rods you've got. So I've got a wooden rod right here. It's got a decent weight and a bit of accuracy to it. And you can see it's doing 2.5 hearts of damage. Okay, but if we throw an iron one in here, it's similar damage, but much heavier weight. So you probably don't want to use iron as your rod type there. Okay, so play around with a couple of the different rod types and see which one works best for you. Like I said also, flint is probably one of your best arrowheads to use. It does a decent amount of damage for a decent range. Okay, but if you want to throw something nicer in there like manilium, you can see that's going to do more damage, but it's also got a little bit more weight to it, so it's going to have a shorter range. So again, different tools, different properties. Play around with all the different mechanics and see which of the different combinations you like. I'm going to, just for the sake of this mod spotlight, create 4 arrows of the standard type: feather, wood, and flint. Cool. Arrows. And guess what? That's right, you can modify your arrows with all kinds of other cool stuff. So if you put quartz on your arrows, they're going to do more damage in the long run. So why don't I get some of that, okay? I'll get some quartz, not slabs, blocks. And if we put that in here, we'll see that now we're bumping up the damage of our arrows. And you're probably saying to yourself, Direwolf, why are you going to waste all this quartz on arrows? Don't you lose them? Nope. That's right, guys. If you have these arrows, these special arrows from MDIO's tools, you know that most of MDIO's tools never get broken or lost. So just like the pickaxe that you'll never lose, and just like all the other stuff, you will keep pretty much forever your arrows, provided that you, of course, go pick them up. So you can see I just bumped my arrow damage from 2.5 hearts to 4.5 hearts at the base damage. So with the short bow, I can do anywhere from 4.5 to 9 hearts of damage with this thing. Pretty nice, right? So yeah, you can get some really good weapons playing with this arrow. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. I'm going to set up some target practice. Alright, so I have a couple targets here to practice with, and I've got this awesome bow. Let's give it a shot. Oh yeah, boom. 2 shots down. And you'll note that I was able to collect my bows again. Uh-oh, here comes one in the distance. Take him down. So you can see the arrows are falling on the ground here, and I can go over and pick them back up, and I get my arrows back. So every time you fire your arrow, you do not lose them. They are dropped on the ground, and you don't have to worry too much about it. If you fire it into the ground, it'll land there, and you can pick it up. So you have pretty much any options that you want. So you can fire it into a tree, not a problem. So the arrows are not lost upon being shot, so it's definitely worthwhile to update them. And these things can do a decent amount of damage. You can see I'm already doing like anywhere from 4.5 to 9 hearts of damage. And I'm doing a pretty good job taking down these enemies. Uh-oh. Last arrow. Get it back. Nice. That was a close one. Like I said, if you upgrade the damage on your bow, that's what's going to happen when you hit them with the bow. You can put things like knockback on and looting on your arrows or on your bow. So, you know, if you put looting on your bow, it's only going to do anything if you, you know, left-click on the mob. That's how looting is going to get triggered. But if you put looting on the arrow, then when you shoot them with the arrow, then you'll get the looting enchant to take effect. Cool. Alright guys, so that covers the bows and the arrows. Now let's talk about some of the more advanced tools. They are not available in this block right here. However, they are available in the Tool Forge. The Tool Forge is a Tech 2 kind of table. You can see you can upgrade your existing tool station if you wish. You just need some seared bricks and some blocks of iron. And the Tool Forge is where you're able to craft both the original tools that you had already, so just the normal stuff that you had there, as well as some new fancy and fun tools. For example, you can make the battle axe, or the cleaver, or the scythe, the excavator, the lumber axe, or the hammer. Bunch of cool stuff. You can see the details over here on the right about how it works. And instead of actually sitting here crafting all these guys, because you know how crafting works now within the mod, I'm going to go ahead and just give myself a couple of these items to demonstrate their awesomeness. The first tool to show you guys is the Manilian excavator. Now, excavators and a lot of these other tools are a lot more advanced and a lot more complicated, so of course they need a lot more metal. You're going to find that you're going to need a tough tool binding, you're going to need a plate, you're going to need this shovel head, okay? Now, if we go ahead and take a look at the casts for these kind of items, so things like the large plate cast requires 8 ingots per. Okay, the hammer actually requires 2 plate casts, so that's 16 ingots, plus you're going to need the hammer piece, which is another 8. So you're going to need 24 ingots just for the head, plus you're going to need a tough tool binding, which I believe is 3 material cost. Cool. Or the tool rod, the tough tool bindings are also 3, I believe, so that's this guy, tough binding. So you have a lot of materials worth collecting. You can see the tough tool binding here on the lumber axe and the excavator. You can see the tool station, the hammer just needs the tool rod with the hammerhead and the 2 plates. Alright, so lots of materials for these, but trust me, they're totally worth it. Okay, let's take a look at what they can do. The excavator, if we take a look over here, indicates that it's a broad digging tool. It can harvest soil and snow in a wide range. Its natural ability is an area of effect 3x3. Okay, so the same rules apply of different materials have different traits and properties. You can also enchant them with all the different abilities that you could otherwise. So if we take a look in the tool station once more, you can see the durability amount, the mining speed, the mining level, and the modifiers that you can place on here. So just like other tools. All right, let's show you the 3x3 functionality of this thing. Real simple. Whatever block face you click on, 3x3 in that direction is going to get cleared away. Ta-da! Okay, now it only works with the natural ability of the tool. So if I click on this one, for example, you can see it only cleared away this section. It did not clear away stone, because this is a shovel, and it's only going to clear away shovel-type items like dirt and sand. Now again, I said that's the direction of the block face that you click on. So by clicking on the side of the block face, you're going to mine in a 3x3 area like so. Okay? If you click on the top of the block face, you're going to mine in a 3x3 area down. Pretty awesome. Okay, so sideways does 3x3 that way, and down does 3x3 that way. Okay, and the same for up and the other directions, etc., etc. So the block face that you are mining is what indicates where it's going to go. Now the same deal with the manilium hammer, only this guy is meant for stone. Ta-da! 3x3 pattern of stone. Look at that. Pretty awesome. And you can upgrade it with redstone to speed it up. You can upgrade it with lapis to give yourself, you know, the fortune enchant, that kind of thing. So these tools are very useful and very cool. It's a great way to mine, especially early game. I highly recommend once you have the option to make these tools, you start using them. Now there is no way to disable this ability, so you can't like hold shift click or anything. It's always going to be active. So it's not worthwhile for you to get rid of your original tools just yet. You should definitely hang on to them. But it's very much a cool way to clear out 3x3 at a time. I love it. Definitely one of my favorite tools. Now the scythe is a broad reaping tool. It's effective on plants and attacks enemies in a wide range. A natural ability of 3x3x3. Oh, that's interesting. It's got average durability, but it has a pretty low amount of damage, but it is area of effect, like indicated. It works pretty well on plants, so it's a good way to clear away, you know, tree leaves. It also clears away in a 3x3 pattern any, you know, of this awesome stuff, tall grass, plants, flowers, pretty much anything that you can imagine wanting to clear away with this thing. So, a pretty nice tool. And like it said in the tooltip, it also works on enemies in the 3x3 area, so if you have a bunch of zombies nearby, don't worry, this thing will clear them out. So again, like I said, take your scythe and feel free to attack the zombies. See you guys. Haha, that is awesome. Nice way to kill a bunch of guys in a wide area. It doesn't have a lot of damage as indicated, but it does a pretty nice job. However, if you want to talk damage, let's talk about this awesome guy. I'm going to come over to the tool table just to show you its abilities. If we take a look at the cleaver, it's a heavy defensive weapon. It provides power strikes, but it's difficult to wield. All right, its natural ability is beheading. So let's take a look. If we take a look at the default attributes of this thing, you can see it has a decent amount of damage. 4 attack hearts by base on a manilium cleaver, and you can of course use different materials for different amounts of damage. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get into with this thing right here. I'm gonna just go into this nice little dark area I made, put down a couple zombies, and not much, but you can see it's a slower tool, but it does add the beheading ability. Cool, so there's a zombie head for us, alright? It's a little bit slow, like I said, to swing, but it definitely does a good amount of damage, and you can get yourself some zombie heads. Awesome. It does increase the drop chance of wither skeleton skulls, by the way. Nice. And finally, for the Tech 2 tools, we've got the Lumber Axe and the Battle Axe. These guys are pretty slick. The Lumber Axe is meant for chopping down trees, and it's not really quite as well meant for doing damage. So if we come over to like a really tall tree here and try and chop it down, you're going to want to break the bottom block. Boom. And it brings down pretty much the whole thing. I think its range is about 30 blocks. So you can see it does a pretty good job, okay? But it doesn't do much by way of damage. If you want to do damage with an axe, you want to get a battle axe. Now this guy can chop down trees pretty well too, but only goes about 9 blocks tall. So if you have a really tall tree here, you're going to see it's not going to get everything, okay? Whereas the lumber axe will definitely get everything for you. There we go. Look how tall that went up. Nice, right? But, you know, the Battle Axe doesn't do so much. But what the Battle Axe does do is a decent amount of damage, along with a knockback ability. So it has an inherent knockback, and you can, of course, modify that and expand the knockback abilities if you want. Pretty awesome. Speaking of upgrades, there are some of the ones that you're used to and a couple new ones that we haven't covered since the last spotlight, so I should go through them now again just to be sure that everybody knows everything about them. Diamonds give you extra durability, a flat 500, where emeralds give you 50% more durability. So if you have more than 1,000 durability by default, you should probably throw the emerald on as opposed to the diamond, okay? But you can, of course, combine them. Redstone gives you speed, just like before. This nifty little gadget here gives you auto repair, the moss. You have to craft that moss, but you shouldn't have a problem. You can also get auto smelt with some stuff. You can get luck and sharpness, and then the fiery enchant sets enemies on fire, and every 5 powder adds another second to the flame. Cool. So that thing makes things, you know, just catch on fire when they get attacked. You can get necrotic, which heals you every time you attack something, and now you actually have the option to make a silky upgrade. You can basically have a silk touch enchant, and to get that, you're going to need a silky jewel. Okay, there you go. You can also get the reinforced, adds the material trait reinforced to the tool, stacks with previous levels of reinforced. You can get knockback by attaching a piston. Pretty nifty. And you can get beheading with the ender pearl and a piece of obsidian. So that'll add that beheading ability, which is the same one that the cleaver has. You can also get bane of arthropods and smite. If you add some cool stuff, you can see the material costs there for the graveyard soil. Okay, and just like before, you can still add the electric ability and more additional modifiers. Cool. You of course can only have maximum number of modifiers determined by the different items and tools used in creating the tool. And believe it or not, we're not done yet. We still have another thing to show you guys. It's all right up here in this extra tab added to the top of your inventory screen. The armor tab. This is where you can add other types of armor. For now, there's just a couple items that we can put in here, but it obviously is meant to be expanded upon. There's a bunch of stuff here that you can't even craft just yet, but it's definitely coming down the line. Why don't I show you a couple of the things that you can make? For example, the first one I want to show you is called the knapsack. Okay, this nifty gadget is just some leather, some iron tough tool rods, so you need to get those guys upgraded, and either a gold ingot or an aluminum brass ingot. Those are your options to make yourself a knapsack. And all you have to do is place that knapsack right here in the knapsack slot. Boom. When you do so, you get an extra tab at the top of your inventory where you can store all kinds of items. Look at that. Beautiful. So now I can run around, access my items whenever I want. It's basically an extra inventory for your character. I've always wanted more stuff and more room to carry things, and now I've got the option. And I don't even have to carry around an item in my inventory here. It just goes on my back. Beautiful. I like it. And of course you can access your items. And don't worry about dying. These items will drop where you die. Now, speaking of dying, and I know you guys don't like to die, neither do I want to show you how to make heart canisters. You're going to need a few things here. You're going to need some empty canisters made with 4 pieces of aluminum ingot. You're also going to need a miniature red heart, which is a rare drop from almost any mob in the game. So just kill some enemies, you'll start seeing miniature red hearts drop. You're also going to need some necrotic bones. Again, a pretty rare drop. I think you can usually get them from wither skeletons. And you're going to need a jeweled apple, some diamonds, and some apples. Cool. This interesting item goes into the slot right here. Okay, watch my health bar when I put the item in the slot. There we go. See how the health bar turned a little golden there? Oh, nice. What this does is it adds 1 extra health to your character. Permanent health increase of 1 heart. You notice these guys can stack to 10. Well, they can also stack to 10 in your inventory here. So take a look at my health bar now. We're going to start getting all the way up to 10. So in the end here, we have an extra 10 health available to us by way of damage. So if I take my boots off to prevent the fall damage from helping me out, and I fall here, note that I took some damage, but I didn't even go down below 10 health. I currently have 11, 11 and a half, 12, and because I have because I have all 10 of these heart canisters stacked up, I'm gonna have a total of 10 extra health. Awesome. So I'm gonna let this thing heal up, and you'll see that I have a full bar of golden hearts. Now, one tool I haven't shown you quite yet is the chisel, because I was waiting for this segment to show it to you guys. The chisel is a utility that can carve and shape blocks, okay? So let's take a look. If you look in your list of Tinker's Construct items, you'll see there's a bunch of different things, like fancy obsidian bricks and fancy sandstone bricks. And basically what you take is a regular sandstone brick. You can see here, it's not too hard to do. You can make the chisel with smooth sandstone to get chiseled sandstone, and you can get the chiseled sandstone into a sandstone brick, and then fancy sandstone bricks. You can do the same thing with netherrack. You can do the same thing with obsidian, and there's some really nifty looking stuff that you can make. So all kinds of cool patterns and nifty combinations that you can get. This is definitely more for the aesthetic kind of guy. I'm not so good at that stuff. You guys know I'm terrible at making things look nice, but there's some really good stuff. You can also see there's even gold bricks and lapis, which are somewhat expensive. It's not gonna lie. To get the basic brick for this, you want to combine the chisel with a piece of lapis lazuli, and that'll get you a lapis brick. Okay, and you can even do the same with diamonds, so you can get yourself some diamond bricks if you want to be very flashy and be like, hey, look at me guys, I've got these fancy diamond bricks, I got all the diamonds I need. Haha. Pretty cool though, right? Yeah, there's plenty of bricks and cool things you can make. There's even some fancy slime bricks. Cool. Just take a slime ball and you can get a fancy slime brick, and you'll see it has a little tooltip of bouncy. I wonder what that could mean. Let's take a look, shall we? I'm going to take off my armor here so we don't have any more flight abilities, and I'm going to try out this bouncy brick. Oh boy. That's funny. So just walking on it gets a little bit of a bounce going on. Be a little bit careful. It definitely looks a little dangerous, but it's a lot of fun. Oh boy. Nice. That's too funny. So now another item here to show you that's similar but not the same is Brownstone. This is actually a block that's pretty useful for building roads out of, because if you take some gravel and you add some liquid tin, a very small amount of liquid tin to the gravel, you're going to get rough brownstone. And you'll note here that the tooltip on rough brownstone is you run a bit faster on it. Okay, so let's go ahead and set down some rough brownstone and take a look at what kind of speed increase we're going to get across the board here. Okay, and of course, again, I'm going to take off all my fancy stuff, so I'm no longer running crazy fast. Oh yeah, definitely notice a small speed increase. Oh Dyer, that's pretty slow. I'm not excited. Show me something cool. Okay, Brownstone Road. Simply take some of that rough brownstone, apply the chisel I showed you a moment ago, and you run pretty fast on it, okay? So again, the stuff isn't, meant to be like, the super speed that you get from your modular power suits or anything like that, but you're going to notice a decent speed increase as you're running along on your road. Not bad at all. So if you want to go ahead and use it to send, roads between houses and between bases, definitely an option. Cool? Not bad at all. Alright, so that's your rough brownstone and your smooth brownstone. And if you want, you can get some other fancy types of brownstone as well. Just go ahead and check them out. Speaking of things you can do in the basin here, I'm going to go ahead and toss myself a bunch of sand into the smeltery. Let's throw, 18 blocks of sand in there. Oh boy, that's a lot of sand. Not a problem though, the smeltery can handle it. It can melt a bunch of blocks at once. In fact, probably. Yeah, not bad. Once that melts down, you're going to get to see how to make a really cool item. This is called clear glass, okay? Let's take a look at it right now. Clear glass is right here. And as you can see, it's very much appropriate to its name. Now, I'm pretty sure MDial is working on some kind of the textures on the side here, so they do connected texturing, similar to the way the Soaring glass works, the Zycraft glass. So you'll have connected textures eventually, but look at that. It's like practically perfectly clear to see what's through there. Very nice looking glass. And there's going to be other types of glass as well coming in the future. You can already see some of them in NEI. There's just no crafting recipe for the soul glass or the clear soul glass. Some more of that coming down the line. Okay, how's the smelting of the sand coming? You can also, by the way, smelt vanilla glass down into liquid glass. You don't have to use sand. So either sand or vanilla glass. And oh look, we got molten glass. Lots of it too. Go ahead and pour it out into this basin here. Now, of course, you're pouring out 9 ingots worth or whatever, so you're pouring out 1 full bucket's worth of molten glass. It takes a few seconds to pour out, but once it's done pouring, it'll solidify. And I'm even going to take my clear glass in my inventory. You'll see it solidifies and you get your first piece of clear glass. Now, I highly recommend that you automate this process with some kind of redstone. As you know, redstone signals can trigger this thing to work. So if we go ahead and get a lever here, so you can see it just formed. So I'm going to go ahead and activate this with a lever. Not a bad plan. You can, of course, also store, like any liquid, right here inside this thing. So if you want to go ahead and take your clear glass and store it in any kind of tank or anything along those lines, totally an option. Of course, the tank can store a lot more than 1 clear glass worth, so it's going to take a while to fill up. But the clear glass is really nice looking, and I can't wait for the connected textures because it's going to look awesome. And to that clear glass, you're more than welcome to add some kind of dye and get yourself some cyan stained glass or some brown, green, red, pretty much any of the Minecraft colors, light blue. I want to try that one out. That probably looks awesome. And you can place that in world as well and get a pretty nice effect. Nice and light blue, nice and cyan, awesome looking, green. I like that. That is really cool looking. And finally, red right there. Beautiful. Really good stuff. And if you thought we were done with the blocks and you thought this mod was only about different tools and nifty stuff, this is called Tinker's Construct. There's going to be tinkering items and there's going to be construction items and constructs as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of those first nifty blocks that can do something really cool called the drawbridge. Now it's a little expensive. You need to get some aluminum brass, you need to get some bronze, get yourself a dispenser and some redstone and even a blank cast. But what this block can do is really, really awesome, okay? So I'm just going to place it on this tree here just to demonstrate exactly the way this works, okay? When you place it down, you'll see there's one little hole facing outwards, okay? And inside the interface for the drawbridge, drawbridge are two blocks here. What I'm going to do is, let's try it with the cyan stained glass. I'm going to place it right here. When this block receives a redstone signal, boom, it's going to extend out the blocks. Now, it does have a maximum range. It doesn't go on forever. I think it's about 16 blocks here. Does that sound about right? 3, 4... Yeah, it looks like it's about 16 blocks. So that's what the drawbridge does. Go ahead and retract the drawbridge by removing the redstone signal, and it removes all the blocks. Okay, so it's basically using whatever you place in there. I can throw cobblestone in if I want. Not a problem. And removing the redstone signal, again, boom. But you know what I want to try? I bet this would look really good. Like this. Oh, that's awesome. I have another idea. How do you guys like the look of this? Oh, that's awesome looking. I'm totally going to have fun with these blocks. But you know what? They do kind of stand out, don't they? Yeah, they look a little bit like, eh. I know. Let's do this. If you place a block on the left, it makes the drawbridge look like that block. There we go. Now we're talking. Beautiful, right? Now, of course, you can, if you want, to really make it look like super sneaky. Something like this. So you can't even tell that there's another block there. Okay? But this looks pretty awesome, too. The drawbridge, lots of fun can be had with this thing. And finally, we have an igniter. This guy just needs a netherrack large plate, which we know is the plates that we make with liquid netherrack and stuff like that. Simply place it on the ground. It's going to be facing whatever direction, and you can activate it with a redstone lever to turn on and off the fire. Nice. I like that. Any block that makes fire works for me. And with that, guys, I think we're finally ready to wrap up this mod spotlight. Believe it or not, and I didn't actually check this to find out if I'm right, but I kind of feel like that MDio has added more stuff to this mod since I originally covered it than existed when I originally covered it. So there's actually more stuff available now to play with than there was when it first came out. That's what it feels like to me. I might be wrong, but it's awesome. There's just so much that he's been adding, and more stuff is coming. Like, he's talked to me about a lot of ideas that he has. Not sure if he wants me to spoil them or not, so I'm probably going to avoid spoiling, but there's obviously more stuff coming. We do see in the tooltips here, I don't feel bad spoiling this because if you read into it, it's pretty obvious that when you have arrows and you place them in your bench here, it tells you how much it'll do if you use a short bow. So I assume there's other types of bows coming. Maybe, maybe not. I guess we'll find out. And I definitely know for a fact that we're going to have more armor slots coming out. So right now there's only 2 things that fit in here, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different slots that we can't even put anything in yet. And I kind of have the feeling that he's not going to just set it up so you can only put one thing in each slot. I think he's going to make you kind of pick and choose between the different options. So you might wind up seeing a couple different rings and a couple different necklaces. I guess the head slot doesn't count, but who knows? He might be adding armor. I wouldn't be surprised. Alright guys, this is direwolf20 signing off on the updated mod spotlight for Tinker's Construct. A very, very cool mod. Definitely becoming one of my favorite mods out there. So many cool mechanics. The smeltery is so much fun to play with, and I definitely like the way that you make a lot of cool stuff with it. Definitely worth investigating, and the drawbridge has a lot of potential for a lot of nifty stuff to be done with it. So much to cover in this mod. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely worth downloading. Available now for 1.5. And 1.6 is being worked on. This is direwolf20 signing off, everybody. Take it easy.